Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Air Tycoon Online. Today, something pretty exciting happened, which I completely had forgotten about since this was not a feature of Air Tycoon Online 2, I believe. And that's the 707-320B has 9,300 kilometers of range, which, of course, is exactly what we need right now. We need higher range aircraft to reach some of the good destinations. Now, I'm not going to change the class configuration because I think it's pretty good by default for slightly more premium routes. And as you can see, we can afford two of them right off of that. That's not bad at all. Now, um, if we take a look at our profits here, I haven't taken a look at it, 23K. That's not bad at all, considering it's completely stable. Um, and yeah, like if we take a look at this, all these routes are printing really good amounts of money. I mean, some of them 2.3K for a single route is really good. And if we sort by plane, we can see each plane is making almost 4K, 4K a turn, which is really, really good. Um, yeah, if we take a look at the ranking leaderboards, I mean, we're climbing pretty fast. I mean, the number one guy's not really moving at all. Um, and even though I'm not leasing aircraft like I usually like to, I'm still shooting up the leaderboards. Um, let's take a look at some of the other things that we should be keeping track of here, and that is uh, the what's it called, rating of Paris. I don't know what to call this rating. Advertisement, name value. I think it's name value. Yeah, spending 4K a month, which is not too much. To keep the name value climbing quite quickly, and I'm also investing a little bit in London, as you can see. Mostly just to boost the name value up to. I know it goes well above 100. See, this step just costs too much, so I don't want to do it. But like in the future, maybe when we have more profit margin and we start to have a problem with too many planes and not too little planes, we can go ahead and make those routes. Um, yeah, I mean, what else is going on? I mean, not much. I mean, like people really love doing this double plane thing on one route, which I always find shocking because it's so bad. Like he's making 6K because this is a fantastic route. Um, but 6K for two owned aircraft is not great. In addition, you're going to suffer from variability. Right now, it's of course an uptick. I haven't used that word for a long time, but yeah, I mean, like people love to stack on these routes, and I'm gonna open a stopover half on these routes as well because like routes like this, Chicago 40 schedules, ooh, that's a bit tough. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's still full, surprisingly, um, because the demand on those routes is just so high. But I have no significant advantage over them. I don't know if I should be opening routes like that. In a lot of ways, I prefer stopover halves. Um, which just are not very competitive. I mean, like if you take a look at this route, I'm the only one with 100% load factor, and of course I'm not making that much because uh, I'm not making that much because it's only one half of a stopover route. But I think I'd just rather like make sure I make as much per plane as possible, as um, instead of trying to maximize the amount I'm getting per what's it called, per route, because the amount of routes you have access to in this game is basically near infinite. Um, Of course, once you like, it is possible to completely saturate a base, but as long as you focus just a little bit of your money into keeping more and more bases opening up, you will have infinite bases, and that's just like you will have, or like infinite routes to choose from, and a finite number of planes to take those routes with, and then eventually the limiting factor will be how much time you have to request slots and such. Um, so yeah, with that in mind, what else should we do here? I'm not sure. Should I lease DCA 11s, guys? I really want to say my leases for um, the what's it called, 1970, when the 747 comes out, or 1969, or whatever it is. Can't believe the 747 design is that old. Um, but yeah, that's really what I would rather do. Just a lot more profitable than leasing a DCA 11, which, it'll help me get started at first by increasing my profits now. And there is a slight, like exponential component to growth. But with the way this game is now, with the really low margins, growing at a near exponential rate is not nearly as plausible as it was in previous Air Tycoons, where early game profit was everything, because that translated into more and more profit, um, and so on and so forth. But in this Air Tycoon Online, The profit margins are so low even early on that it's kind of tough to ever really hope to grow it at an exponential rate. You kind of just grow at a faster, like the exponential curve is so drawn out that um, you don't really feel like you're growing much faster than you were before. But anyways, let's go ahead and open this route up. Let's go ahead and make it to. Ooh, I just realized Karachi is completely untaken. Um, but yeah, if I do that, it'll be not enough schedules per week. I want 5 schedules per week, no matter what, basically. So let's find a route which gives us that. I think this is perfect. So like this, we get 5 schedules per week. Yeah, that's kind of the goal here. Is if you go down to 4 schedules per week, you need to stretch that route out really, really far to make it worth it. Um, so yeah, instead of that, we just go for slightly shorter routes, which can get 5 schedules per week. Karachi's a great route, by the way. I don't know why nobody's taken it to London, or maybe somebody has and I didn't see the line. Oh no, nobody's taken it at all to London. I could lease an aircraft for that, but once again, I'm going to try and exercise the virtue of patience this game, which is going to be really tough because I'm not a patient human being, but I'm going to attempt to be patient and not waste my leases all the way until the release of the 747. So it's going to be a while. But before then, we can continue to make these good 5 scheduled per week stopover routes. This is a good way to do medium range routes too, like 2,000, 3,000 kilometer routes can be covered by large, very large aircraft so that it reduces the number of total aircraft we want. I really don't want to do any Tupolev spamming to keep the size of my airline down, preferably under 1,000 aircraft, so it's really manageable when my airline gets a lot bigger. But anyways, with that in mind, I'm simply going to wait a few ticks and be back once we have a few more aircraft to play with. Guys, I was just going through the airlines to take a look at what my competition would be like this world, and I noticed something funny. So, yesterday I had 3 people comment in my videos about, hey, I'm joining my channel, which is really awesome to have fans in the channel. I might set up a Discord server if you guys are interested, um, so that everyone in this channel with me can join up and we can team up together to try and get top 3. But or top 4 because there's 3 of you guys. I found you 3 guys in this game world actually by looking at the only players flying stopover routes. If we take a look at the leaderboards here, um, nobody in the top players except for this one guy, this one Korean guy, is using any stopover routes at all because he has more routes than planes. And this guy, Thai Airways, but it's only by a few. He's mostly flying direct routes. These players. And you have me, which is an almost perfect double. And I was like, I'll look for who I think my subscribers are. And I didn't remember your guys' names. And here's one guy, Wolf. Wolf Lee, thank you for joining the channel with exactly double. Perfect. That's just what I would expect from somebody watching my videos. And Simon, and where's the last guy? There's another guy in here. I suppose his name like Uthan or something like that. Maybe I scrolled past it. I mean, there's a lot of people. Oh, here we go, Uthan. He's only flying a couple stopover routes, but um, yeah, it's awesome that all my subscribers are flying stopover routes. You guys are definitely doing well on that department. Yeah, see you guys at the top. Okay, another thing I just noticed is one of you guys is based in Paris. I think it's Simon who's based in Paris here. So I was originally gonna go Paris as one of my hubs, but that's okay. There's plenty of other great hubs in the world, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go LAX as my second hub. Um, LAX doesn't have really stopover options, so maybe I'll go New York. New York. Let's take a look at it. It's mostly like the player here is getting like down there in terms of the routes to make, but he's still not very thorough. So let's see what kind of players we have in New York. And we can just take a look at the slot utilization is a really good idea. So none of my subscribers, which is nice because I don't want to compete with any of you guys. So yeah, instead I think I'm gonna have to prioritize New York as the next hub instead of Paris, which is a little bit unfortunate because I have to undo some of this investment. I mean, I don't care about investing in Paris if I'm never gonna open a hub there. So we can go ahead and disable that investment. And instead, I'm gonna go ahead and lease a plane right now just to fly to New York with. Yeah, this way basically I can start building image as soon as possible. I know what said I want to save my leases. Um, but yeah, with this plane, I should be able to start building some image in New York, and therefore we can start like start getting started with getting a second hub going, because only having one hub will eventually become a huge restriction. Take a looking. What am I saying? Taking a look at these load factors. Some of these are abysmal. There's so many schedules on this route. Yeah, not gonna exactly be a money maker for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this route the stopover to Karachi, just so that it gets less schedules per week than 5, because I don't need very many schedules. Anyways, I'll see you in a bit. And welcome back, guys. It's been a few hours for me, and as you can see there, oh, I accidentally made the message go away, but I got a message from a fellow subscriber, Wolf Lee. Thank you for messaging me. Um, anyways, what I wanted to do now was, yeah, I just had one unused plane, and I think I was gonna probably just keep ordering 707 320Bs to make sure we have minimum seats, just in case I forgot, but I know I didn't. Um, yeah, maybe one day minimum seats won't be the best strategy for um, Air Tycoon, but for now, it's always going to be the best strategy. It's just use the minimum seats, because without it, the profit margin is just a little bit low. Um, anyways, we could do something like this, just flying just a little bit short. So if we could find a city in around this area, that would be perfect for a stopover. Yeah, like it doesn't really matter that this route is going to be a much smaller than the route like which is on the side of New York. Like New York's obviously a bigger route, but the reason why this is going to work out is because New York route has tons and tons of competition. So um, even though the two halves of the stopover are really different sizes, it shouldn't be too bad. Um, though it won't be great once I upgrade to a 747, because one of those sides is probably not going to be completely full. Not even sure which, to be honest. Um, Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to make this route to New York mostly to kind of balance out expanding with opening a new base. I mean, I would prefer to make another route like any other route with no competition, because as you know, these are the cash cows. Like the little routes like Calgary to London, um, where most people won't bother to make such a small route, but it's just printing money, like 2.3K, 100% load factor. And of course, when larger aircraft comes out, it'll be able to fill those larger aircraft too, surprisingly enough. Um, so yeah, I guess we've got to wait for 10 seconds for that slot. We can go ahead and check on our routes in this time. As you can see, like it takes a while for these routes to get full. Um, yeah, I haven't like played in a while, so I can't really remember how many turns it takes to get full. But as you can see, 90% of my routes are just all locked on 100% load factor. And part of that is also because I take the ridiculously overpowered base of London, um, which will always give you ridiculous load factors because the demand is just so high, to basically anywhere. Um, I think one thing they could do to make Air Tycoon a little bit better would be to make the scaling for kind of like the way demand is generated between cities to be more non-linear. So like Chicago to New York, or Chicago to New York, should be like 100 times higher. Not 100, say 15, 20 times higher than a route like New York to Wilmington. Not a factor of the actual like business and tour, like a linear factor of it, which makes it so that all the best routes are not routes between the best cities, because there's a lot of layers of competition, but routes that nobody takes to random cities nobody's ever heard of, and then you fly it with like a 747, and if you use a stopover, it makes money. It doesn't make that much sense. I think the game would overall be better if they made it so that more of the demand was concentrated on the big routes, and it mattered more to kind of fight over the big routes than it is to just simply give up the big routes and chill with tiny little routes. I mean, I find it fun, but not a lot of people do. So there's no plane. There's no. Hmm, that guy is not using any services, so I can easily open a route like this, and it'll make tons of money. So yeah, I'll be back when the slot is done. All right, I'm back here. I've just noticed I've climbed to 14th place now. So that means one thing in this world, and that is when alliances come out, I won't be able to make an alliance. So I don't know. We're gonna have to find some alliance to join at that point, which is a little bit unideal. I would prefer, um, to make my own alliance and always do that. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to be possible. Hopefully, there'll be a good alliance with the correct settings or good settings in general. There's certain settings which make alliances really bad, like no shared routes is one of them. Kind of makes it really annoying when you can't share routes with other people, because you end up stuck with a lot of players who aren't really utilizing routes well. But anyways, apparently I had no stopover destination, so I'm gonna have to wait for this Pescara slots too. So another thing I've been thinking about, and this is kind of unrelated to what we've been talking about so far, but I was thinking about the game's start, and in Air Tycoon Online 3, the majority of your money at the start just comes from random gifts. What do I mean by this is mostly your money comes from quest completions and level ups, and only a small proportion it comes from your actual profit margin. And I don't think that's a really great idea because that doesn't really encourage players to expand by learning how to make their profits well. Um, I think a better change. Like, I mean, look at this. This is a really well run airline. Most of my routes are really good. Um, almost them. They're all full. I'm using every trick in the book to make sure that my profit margins are as high as possible, and my profit margin is about 25%, which is not good at all. Um, and that's okay. I like the fact that margins aren't very high, but what I don't like is the fact that most of your money comes from random sources. It doesn't come from making great routes, um, and sitting on it. It comes from these level ups, which is kind of arbitrary. And I'm not a fan of arbitrary things. I wish they just started the game with more money. Like instead of starting you with 600,000, just start you with 2 million. Okay, so $2 billion or something like that. Just enough for each player to buy a really large number of aircraft to get started that way, or simply start every player with say 15 or 20 leased aircraft available. That way they'll be able to just lease their way into glory. If they know how to utilize leases. I mean, it's a lower profit margin, so it's a higher risk, but it's the ROI time or return on investment is basically instant. So yeah, with that in mind, I have no more aircraft. I'm not gonna have more aircraft for another long time. It looks like basically just working on base income here. It's my what's my passengers looking at? Yeah, it's not even close to 150,000 yet, which is the next break point for some free cash. But anyways, with that in mind, I'll see you guys next episode. Peace.